Most of the time a telephone or a video interview is an introductory call. So they're going to want to know about you, but they're going to want to know about the research you've done. And I always think as well, it's important to remember that interviews are a two-way process. You know, it's not just the manager grilling you on your experience and your suitability. Body language or location during a video interview?
I mean, the background would just be like a clear background sort of thing. You want to make sure that you can see yourself properly, seeing as it's a video call. In terms of what to wear as well, you always want to look presentable regardless whether it's a video or a face-to-face interview. So definitely look presentable from the top half. It could be a suit or tie. No, suit or tie? Shirt or tie?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think COVID kind of put the video interview in the spotlight, and you must have seen all the memes of people that maybe had their kids running in or whatever it might be. I think it's important to just take note of your surroundings.
Definitely.
You know, it's a professional interview at the end of the day. It's not just a phone call between friends. So yeah, it might seem stupid, but make sure you don't have any of your dirty washing hanging up behind you or anything like that.
Phones on silent.
Phones on silent as well. Body language is actually very important. You know, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to actually be in front of this manager to be able to pick up on his or her body language. So I think it's important that you hold yourself confidently, you know, sitting up straight.
Eye contact
As much as you can. And obviously making sure that you're being polite and that you're answering questions clearly and succinctly. And ultimately, you know, interviews are a dynamic thing where things change. So, you know, don't overthink it, don't overstress it, but just remember where you are and who you're speaking to.
Technical preparation for a video interview. In terms of an interview, you always want to make sure you're ready at least 10 minutes before the interview actually starts. So making sure that your camera works, making sure that your mic works, so there's no sort of disruption during the interview.
You know, there's no excuse these days for not being ready. You know, everybody's got access to Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever it might be. And, you know, a little bit of preparation the night before or in the lead up to the interview itself, making sure that the link works. You know, that's kind of one of the biggest things in my job, is making sure that people have got the right link and people are aware of what they need to do. But, you know, you're all technical people, and, you know, I'm confident that you won't have any issues there. But things like getting your phone switched on. Right. Calm.
Sorry, bro.
Things like making sure your phone is switched off. Massively important. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where your phone's gone off in a meeting or something where you're not meant to be having your phone on you, and you know, that can be a real negative. It shows under preparation. You know, it shows an element of not being professional. So, you know, I think it's important just to kind of make sure that your environment is ready to go and you're calm and doing the right things. Do your research.
You just want to research about the company, so you want to know about where they started and what sort of things they've developed over time. You just want to have that knowledge in your head, just in case they ask you a question, you're clued up. You know what to answer.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's what they're assessing you for is not just your suitability for the role. You know, the job, if we've done our job correctly, you should be suitable for that, the actual technical stuff that they're looking for. But they're looking for a cultural fit as well. You know, when we're talking about, you know, helping somebody get a permanent job, we're hopefully talking about somebody working at that company for the next 4, 5, 6 years at least. So I think what prospective employers are going to want to see is that you're engaged, you're interested, and you're motivated. And the way in which you can show that is exactly what Malik said. Do your research, understand what this company is all about. And some of the stuff, you know, you won't be able to identify that until you're there in front of them and you can ask questions directly. But businesses take a lot of time on branding and conveying their culture to the wider market. So I think it's important that you do what you can on the internet, you know, whether it's their social media pages, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their Instagram. You know, businesses now, luckily enough, have a number of channels that they use. to convey their culture. So, you'll be able to find out everything in terms of the kind of team that they have, size of the team, the markets or the industries that they work in, the kind of benefits and softer things that they offer to employees. And I think, we're hopefully going to be helping you find your next job here. So it's important that you do this research, because these are the things that are going to be important to you when you've been in a job 1, 2, 3 years.
Practice your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a good reason to practice your answers is just so you're prepared, really. When you're going into an interview, a lot of the times you don't really know the sort of questions they're going to ask. So as long as you know the answers to some of the questions they might potentially ask, it just puts you in a good sort of space. It makes them see as if that you've actually researched the company and you know kind of what you're talking about, really, on that side.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like Malik said, you can never be 100% sure what questions you're going to be asked on the day, but you can cut out, the off chance of not being prepared by thinking about questions that you might be asked. So, certainly there will be questions around your suitability for the role. A lot of those will be competency-based questions. So, give us an example of where you've actually done this, where you've implemented this framework, or you've programmed software using this language. All of these questions are questions that you can probably presume will be asked, and in reality, you should be able to come with well knowledged. Is that even a word? You should be able to come prepared with knowledgeable answers, and you're selling yourself at the end of the day, so you should know what separates you from the crowd, and that's where we come in as well. So we take a lot of time to prepare and advise and make sure that when that interview comes, some of these questions we've already asked you them, we've already helped you prepare some of these answers. Be yourself.
Basically what it is you don't want to paint a picture of somebody that you're not, only because you're going to be working with these people for years, basically. So it's just like you're basically painting a facade sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a false impression.
Yeah, it's a false impression. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So yeah, no, it's definitely good to be yourself, because they might like you for who you are, really.
Yeah, and I think, when I said before about it being a two-way process, if you're honest with yourself and about what you want and who you are and what you can achieve and deliver at this company, then you will find the position that you want. I think it comes down to being honest with yourself, and businesses already would have seen your CV, they would have got a good idea of who you are. So I think it's important to kind of just build on that and let businesses know exactly who you are, and hopefully you can forge a collaboration together based on that fact.
Don't be embarrassed to sell yourself. It's good to sell yourself because you're not the only person applying for the role. You've got to differentiate yourself from the other people that are also applying for the role. You've got to make the hiring manager also understand why you're different to everybody else. So it's good to differentiate yourself from everybody else, so they can see the sort of skill set that you have.
Absolutely, I think you're 100% right. There's not really anything I can add on that. You are selling yourself. It's a competitive process, and if you really want it, you'll find yourself naturally talking about how good you are and how that particular part of the job relates to your experience. Don't feel that it's bragging in any way. This is your career, and if you want something, you go and get it with both hands. Ask questions. Apologies.
I think it's good to ask questions because it shows an interest for the job that you're applying for. A lot of the time when I'm interviewing candidates, I always make sure that they ask questions during the hiring process. It shows that they're interested in the position that they're applying for.
Businesses have an obligation to sell what they're doing as much as you sell what you're doing. So they're going to want to see candidates who are engaged, motivated, who are there because they want to be there. And absolutely, I keep saying it, it's a two-way process. There's a reason why you're taking time out of your day. Potentially, if you're maybe taking a day off work, you're losing money for this. And so, understand why you're in this process, whether it's the technology that you want to be using, or whether it's the culture of the business that you want to work for. There's a reason why you're taking these steps and putting yourself through quite a stressful process. It's because you want it. And so, don't ever hesitate to ask questions. It's going to impress them, and ultimately it's going to help you get what you need.
And we're here to help. As consultants, we know our clients best, so for our candidates, it's best to obviously put your minds at ease. We want to make your interview process as simple and easy flowing as possible, so whether it's you asking us questions and we have the answers to, it gives you more of a chance to obviously have a better interview with the client.
You're not going to be the first candidate to have this interview, so we're going to be really well placed to give you advice and guidance on what's happened before. And no two interviews are the same, but what we're there to do is make you feel prepared. You'll never know until you leave that interview whether you feel like you've done well or not, but what we can do is help control the controllables, so we can make sure that you feel ready for the interview, that there's going to be no technical hiccups. Everything that we've just discussed, making sure that you know what to ask, when to ask it, we'll be there to hopefully give you that helping hand and hold your hand through the process.
Alright guys, so if you're interested in more hiring tips, career advice and guys, so if you're interested in more career tips, hiring if you're interested in more career advice, hiring tips and the latest updates in the tech world, make sure to
subscribe to our channel and give this video a like.